maybe I'm not a tomboy, maybe I'm just a boy. Do you really believe that children are going to turn transgender from watching Chaz Bono?
I really believe, Megan, and there's plenty of data, that we kindle behavior in one another. There's data even that if a friend of yours should get divorced and say how happy she is, that you are more likely, percentage-wise, to consider divorce yourself.
Is that the same as this? Is that the same as convincing you that you are a boy when in fact you're a girl?
We really don't know how these behaviors influence people when they are mainstreamed and celebrated. But I would say during the very vulnerable times when kids are forming their identities as well as their sexual identities, yes, it's possible that if someone is celebrated and lifted to heroic proportions like that of a civil rights leader, that somebody who is somewhat uncomfortable with his or her gender might say, you know what, I'm going down that road. And that is a very tortuous road that we know very little about.
I don't know if allowing Chaz
debate.
Bono to dance is lifting him to heroic civil rights leader status. But,
you should,
listen,
you should check out the web. You should check out the web.
Well,
He's being touted as the second coming of Gandhi.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The American Psychiatric Association president, John Oldman, came out and said, and I quote, "There is no evidence that viewing a television game show with a transgender contestant would induce gender identity disorder in young people." So you say we don't know, but this guy who's president of the American Psychiatric Association says there is no evidence of this. So aren't you being irresponsible by suggesting to parents out there that if they let their little children watch this show, they're going to turn transgender?
No, what I'm doing is I'm protecting their children, and I have a call into John because I'd like to clarify that there's also no evidence that watching will not cause some problems for your kids in terms of their sexual identities, along with the whole brouhaha around this that suggests that this is a proper course. Listen, we're not very far from when Paul McHugh was chairman of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins and likened transgender surgery in the year 2007 to providing liposuction for anorexic people. You don't have to collaborate in people's psychopathology in order to be their doctors.
It is a recognized disorder, gender dysphoria, and somebody who has actual expertise in this particular area of psychiatry, with respect, unlike yourself, a guy named, let me get it, Dr. Drescher, Dr. Jack Drescher, who is not only a distinguished fellow of the American Psychiatric Association, but also a member of the DSM-5's work group on sexual and gender identity disorders, has taken real issue with your piece, Doctor, and has said that you are really irresponsible here and saying that the audience is entitled to accurate scientific knowledge of this complex subject rather than, and I quote, opinions, scare tactics, and inflammatory language. Is that what you're doing?
Listen, here's the thing, Megan, and I like being with the home team on this one, so you'll give me some time to explain. The DSM-5, the working group, you have to understand, organized psychiatry has presided over the decimation of psychotherapy. That book that he's involved with, our diagnostic manual, has spliced and diced the range of human experience into such sterile categories that they've yielded to political pressure throughout the years completely.
Are you saying this guy doesn't understand this disorder better than you do?
Oh, I don't know which one of us understands more about these disorders, but I can tell you this.
He specializes in it. He specializes in it.
No, but I can tell you, Megan, it's too simplistic to suggest that the American Psychiatric Association, which embraced lobotomies for a time, has to be right about this issue.
But here's what's not simplistic. I think the viewers get this. I think they get that our children are no more likely to turn transgender from watching Chaz Bono than they are to turn gay from watching Will and Grace. You either are
I don't think that's
or
true.
You're not. You're really, how many kids turn gay from watching Will and Grace?
Well, first of all, I have no idea what the statistics would show, nor am I proposing that they do become homosexual from watching Will and Grace. However, I will tell you that the idea that you would suggest to a child who may come to have questions about his or her gender that a very defensible path and one that has been celebrated in the media and in which people have given standing ovations to the folks who have undergone these transformations is gender reassignment surgery, I think is really irresponsible. And as for the
Isn't it just
APA,
tolerant?
don't forget.
Isn't it just tolerant?
What's
I mean,
that?
there's so much.
No, it's
here's
not.
There's so much hate. There's so much hate out there. There's so much hate
Well,
for
maybe you
gays
may have
and
tolerated
lesbians
frontal
and transgendered
lobotomies
people.
too, but I would have spoken out against them.
Well, you know what? The thing is, Doc, you seem to be adding to the hate because, you know, you went out there, you compared Chaz Bono to somebody who thinks they're a zebra and a farm animal. How does that? This person struggled mightily with
No, I
a,
didn't
with a
compa-
disorder
I
that a lot
think
of
you
people
gotta
have.
review,
And to
Megan,
hear you make those
you've
remarks
got to
just
review
sounds
the
cruel.
transcript. Megan, you got to review the transcript. I was on Howard Stern, and I said to him, listen, if you tattooed yourself like a zebra, I'm not going to throw a rock at you. I'd take a rock for you if someone threw it at you. But if you ask me, are you a zebra, I'm going to say no. And I'd say to Chaz Bono, if you asked me, am I a man? I'd say, no, brother, you're not.
We'll leave it at that. Dr. Avlo, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'll see you again.
All right, all the best.